Bray Wyatt's first feud has been revealed, so we'll see what's going on there. We'll also check out Scarlett's reaction to a recent situation with a fan. Let's start things off with the reveal of Bray Wyatt's first feud. Bray Wyatt returned back at Extreme Rules, but didn't have a single interaction with anyone else besides Uncle Howdy up until the November 11th edition of Smackdown. The reason behind Bray Wyatt going a few weeks without a rival was done in order to build a foundation for his new character and for us to understand what's going through the character's mind at this current moment. And Bray Wyatt, being the magnificent storyteller that he is, perfectly told us everything we needed to know about this current version of his character in only a couple of weeks. This version of Bray Wyatt is pretty much caught at a crossroads right now. What Uncle Howdy said about Bray being a shell of his former self is definitely true. Bray isn't his full-blown normal self right now. He's having this massive internal conflict about choosing between good versus evil. He's well aware of the man he used to be and what he was capable of, but he has shown a lot of signs over the last few weeks that he's trying to fight against it. He's trying to discipline himself and have that self-control over these actions and feelings. But as we can easily tell, he's struggling a lot right now with that inner conflict. He's trying to listen to himself and have this new moral code, but then he has that devil on his other shoulder, which is Uncle Howdy in this case, that's trying to push him back into making evil decisions. Howdy is the one that's promoting evil, violence, and even trying to get Bray Wyatt to put a mask on again, and just go back to being who he once was. So this is the foundation of this version of Bray Wyatt. He's a broken man that's right in the middle of good and evil. So he's trying to be nice and patient with you. But if you push him, he won't hesitate to go back to his old ways. So now that they spent the last few weeks telling us about the character, now we're ready to see that first feud. LA Knight was being interviewed backstage when all of a sudden the television monitor behind him started glitching out with the Bray Wyatt logo, Uncle Howdy, and other Bray Wyatt related images. LA Knight turns around to complain that it's his time, but when he turns back around, Bray Wyatt is standing in the place of where the interviewer once was. Bray acknowledges that they've never met before, but he properly introduces himself to LA Knight and wants to be friends because he relates to a lot of things that LA Knight is going through. Bray says that he understands how he feels. Bray says that he can see all that anger and rage that's brewing inside of LA Knight, and says that he has those same things brewing inside of him. Bray also says that he spent the longest time pretending that he isn't proud of the things that he does, but how he doesn't know how true that is anymore. Bray says he knows what it takes to get respect and asks LA Knight about how far he would be willing to go to get it. LA fully blows Bray Wyatt off, telling him that it's none of his business and how he should go back to playing with his puppets. Bray Wyatt tries to laugh it off, but we see the Wyatt logo and Howdy flash again on the television screen behind them, and Bray ends up headbutting LA Knight to the floor. So it's not fully clear what Bray's intentions were or what answer he was looking to get from LA Knight, but all of that instantly went out the window the second that LA Knight started disrespecting him. And again, seconds before and seconds after the headbutt, you can see that same issue coming back into play for Bray Wyatt. He's still sort of having this struggle for when it comes to decision making like that. He tried to laugh off what LA Knight said, but quickly went to the physical route seconds later. And even right after the headbutt was delivered, you can see that look on Bray Wyatt's face, sort of giving off the impression that he's unsure if that was the right or wrong thing to do. So the segment was great. It stayed true to the same issue that we've been seeing Bray Wyatt struggle with in recent weeks. But it also introduced a new opponent for him as well in the process. A lot of fans are very excited to hear more back and forth promos between Bray Wyatt and LA Knight, because it'll be great. If this brief backstage interaction is a sign of what's to come in their feud, then their future interactions are going to be a must-watch. What also makes Bray Wyatt's stories much better than others is the fact that you do have to pay attention to every detail and every single word that's spoken. Like, for example, Bray's comments to LA Knight. It sounded like Bray was almost trying to recruit LA Knight into something there for a moment. Possibly the Wyatt Six, possibly a partnership. Especially towards the start, Bray was pretty friendly, trying to relate to what LA Knight was going through. But it was LA Knight who turned the entire situation into a hostile situation. And pay attention to what LA Knight said as well. He made mentions and references to Bray Wyatt's puppets and the Firefly Funhouse. There's also some untold story left to tell there as well. Bray's Extreme Rules return featured the abandoned version of the Firefly Funhouse, and it was originally reported that WWE intends to use that abandoned version of the Firefly Funhouse set again in the future. Then also at Extreme Rules, we saw the alive versions of the puppets. Everyone thought that the puppet stories would be going somewhere, but they haven't been seen since. A lot of theories around there with the puppets and if other WWE superstars will eventually play them or not. But the fact that LA Knight brought them back up is interesting. Does Uncle Howdy's plan include the puppets themselves? So there's a lot to look forward to there. It looks like we're about to see Bray Wyatt versus LA Knight. But the Uncle Howdy storyline will still be around, sort of like in the background of Bray's main feuds. The easiest assumption is that Uncle Howdy will eventually win. He'll get Bray Wyatt to turn and do some of those horrible things again over time. Surprising news came out of a WWE live event. Fans in attendance say that the show got off track after a fan threw their drink all over Scarlett at ringside. Fans at the show say that the police were called, and the fan, along with the entire family, were escorted out of the building. No one was arrested. Fans that were nearby also claimed that the fan who threw the drink acted alone, and how the rest of the family appeared to be super embarrassed. WWE employees came out with towels to dry the floor and make sure that it was safe and wasn't slippery for the rest of the show. It was also reported that the Karrion Kross and Scarlett portion of the show went on as previously scheduled, and there were no other issues the rest of the show. Scarlett did take to Twitter to comment on the incident and shared her thoughts. She had this to say, quote, "As a classy woman from Chicago, I'm not surprised that something like this would happen in Peoria. P.S. To the granny who threw the drink, your booze was as cheap as your hairdo." End quote. As far as what's next for Karrion Kross and Scarlett, it would appear that their feud with Drew McIntyre could be coming to an end. So we'll see what's next for them after that. But what are your thoughts on today's stories with Bray Wyatt and Scarlett? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.